Good afternoon, Vaqueros. This is Griselda Castilla, Associate Vice President for Strategic Enrollment. And I hope you are preparing for the end of this spring semester and that you're gearing up for the start of summer. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I have two programs that I'd like to review with you that we currently have available to support our students this summer session. Our first program is our early registration incentive, and then I will also talk about our $500 summer tuition and fee incentive. Your ability to continue your education is of utmost importance here at UTRGV, and for this reason, we continue to look for programs to support you in your educational endeavors. I am here to talk about these two programs, but of course, if you have any questions on anything else relevant to your enrollment here at UTRGV, don't hesitate to send in those questions. So let me begin by talking about our $150 early registration incentive. So for this particular program, all you have to do is register for either fall or summer 22 or fall 2022. There isn't a minimum hour enrollment. As long as you're enrolled in at least 1 hour or more, that's really all that we're looking for. And I'm very happy to report that our original registration deadline of May 1 has been extended to June 1. However, I highly encourage you to enroll for your summer or fall, if you haven't already, as soon as possible to make sure that you take advantage of these monies. I know that as students, you have a lot of expenses, whether it's to buy supplies or gas up or have money for meals and so forth. So I am very confident that these $150 go a long way for you all. So ensure that you register as soon as possible. There's no need for you to wait for your spring grades to post in order to register for summer or fall. I know some of you want to see how you will end up in the spring semester before you pick up your classes for the fall semester, but I encourage you to secure those classes as soon as possible. If for whatever reason after grades post you need to drop a class or switch over to another class, you can continue to make enrollment changes to your schedule up until the census date of the corresponding semester you're registering for. So again, there's no need for you to wait for your spring grades to post. So for our $150 incentive, who is eligible? All of our students are eligible for the $150 early registration incentive. So we have it open to all of our new students coming in, all of our new students that are joining us from high school or students that are coming in from another institution and transferring over to UTRGV. You are eligible, as well as our current students. Anyone that is currently enrolled with us, whether in one of our undergraduate or graduate programs, you are eligible to receive this $150 incentive. So just keep that in mind. We are just looking for at least 1 hour of enrollment. Of course, we do want you to maximize on your enrollment here at UTRGV. And don't forget about our tuition cap. For those of you that are putting your schedule together for the fall semester, keep in mind that our tuition is capped at 12 hours. So essentially, any courses that you register for beyond 12 hours are free. So just keep that in mind. But again, the $150 incentive is available to all of our current undergraduate and graduate students. The next question again is, how many courses do I need to be enrolled in? You just have to be enrolled in a minimum of 1 hour. We do know that there are some courses that are 1 hour, 1 credit hour. There's other courses that are 2 credit hours. So as long as you're enrolled in at least 1 credit hour or more, emphasis on the or more, we definitely want you to stay on track and graduate on a timely basis. So take advantage of this incentive. Like I mentioned, I know that $150 goes a long way for all of you. I have my first question coming in from Ashley. She applied for the fall semester and was recently accepted. If she wants to start in the summer, does she need to reapply again? So Ashley, if you are an entering freshman and you are admitted for the fall semester, but you want to start in the summer, when you come to new student orientation, we will change you to your application to be admitted for summer so you can register for summer. Now, if you're a graduate student, that does work a little bit different. If you do want to change your start date, please ensure that you reach out to our graduate college. But for our transfer students, whether you're a high school, a transfer student from another institution, or a high school student just starting with us and you were admitted for the fall, but you want to start in the summer, please make sure that you do that. You let us know when you come to orientation and we'll make that change for you. And again, graduate students, you do need to reach out to our graduate college for that. Tanya's question is, are there other scholarships for summer? So I will talk about our second program in a little bit, but yes, Tanya, we do have several programs that are available to our students this summer, along with our normal financial aid packages that we award to our students. So just let me go through these questions really quick on the $150, and then I will switch over to the $500 incentive, Tanya, that you're probably interested in. So what is the deadline? Again, our initial deadline was May 1. We understand that all of you are busy trying to prepare for finals, trying to get your thoughts together and get yourself organized to complete this spring semester successfully. So we have made the decision to extend the registration deadline from May 1 to June 1 to give you a little bit more time. But again, I strongly encourage you to register as soon as possible. Secure those classes. Don't wait for grades to post. You can always make schedule changes later. One, this helps us ensure that we have the courses available that our students need. So the sooner we know what that course demand is, the better it allows us to plan for course availability as best as possible. So again, don't delay and register as soon as possible, but you do have until June 1, so keep that in mind. We know that it's summer, and as you're preparing for summer and fall, you're trying to make sure that you select the right classes. All of you have access to your degree works. Ensure that you're following your degree works. Verify that you have the correct declared major, a minor, and concentration on your degree works, and that gives you a detail of the courses that you must enroll in order for us to certify your degree and to ensure that it's completed. So ensure that you're taking courses that are applicable to your degree plan. Again, that's very important for financial aid purposes, but it's also very important that you stay on track and graduate on time. If you still have questions or you need further assistance in securing the right classes, you can always schedule an appointment with an academic advisor by clicking on the EAB Navigate icon at myutrgv.edu. And then you can select an appointment date and time through that application. Of course, if you're a new student, we will help you through the registration process when you come to orientation. And if you have general questions, you are welcome to contact our academic advising office at 956-665-7120. And for our graduate students, you do have to contact your corresponding program coordinator if you do need some guidance on which courses to take for the summer or the fall if you're a little unsure. I do have some questions coming in. I'm taking prerequisites to apply to a second degree in nursing. All courses make you eligible for this $150 incentive. So if you do need to take that prerequisite course and you enroll with us this summer, then you will definitely go ahead and qualify for the $150 incentive that we have. So definitely, we are just looking for at least 1 hour of enrollment. So you will be good if you are required to take a prerequisite course only. Is this incentive considered a loan? Absolutely not. This $150 is not a loan. It's not any funds that you have to pay back to UTRGV or any other entity. These are basically free monies to help you support you with your educational expenses. So definitely it's not funds that you have to pay back. Again, this incentive is to support our students in enrolling for summer or fall. So it's just $150. So if you enroll for the summer and fall, you do not get $150 for each term. It's just $150 total. So just keep that in mind. Right after the June 1 registration deadline, we will be identifying all of our students that are currently enrolled, and we will begin distributing those funds to you so that you can use those monies to pay for whatever you may need for the for the summer or the fall semester. If you are signed up for direct deposit, we will deposit those funds directly to your bank account. If you are not signed up for direct deposit, then we will send you a paper check to your mailing address. I highly encourage you to sign up for direct deposit if you haven't already. And you can always log into your Assist account and ensure that you indicate your click on the direct deposit setup and then provide your banking information. And I highly recommend this because our checks do have an expiration date, and we sometimes have students that save those checks for later and later and later. And by the time they realize it, the expiration date has come around and the check is no longer valid. So the best and fastest way that we can get these funds into your hands so you can use them for the expenses that you have is by signing up for direct deposit. So again, I highly encourage you to sign up for direct deposit if you haven't already. And you can do this through Assist. You log in with your UTRGV credential, so it's not information that is being shared with anybody else. This is just specifically in your student account, and our system uses that information to process any funds that need to be sent out to you. So keep that in mind. I have a question. I already did my fall schedule, and I'm going to take 4 courses in the summer. What's next that I have to do it in order to earn the incentive, the 500 and the 150? So you've already taken the first step to gain those $150. So it looks like you're on the right path. And then I'll talk a little bit as far as what you have to do to gain those other $500. So I'll be talking about the $500 incentive in just a few minutes. Do I need to apply to receive the early registration incentive? You do not. There's no application required. We will identify the students that are currently enrolled for either summer or fall as of June 1. And then, like I mentioned right now, we will start distributing those funds either to your banking institution, or we will be mailing you a paper check. But as far as applying for the funds, that's not required. There's no application. We will identify you ourselves as long as you enrolled by summer or fall by June 1st. Do I have to, if I am in a certification program, do I qualify for the $150? You definitely do. All we're looking for is for students to be enrolled in at least one course. So regardless of your program of study, you will qualify for these $150. Of course, we highly encourage all of our students to check their degree works and ensure that you're taking courses that are applicable to your degree plan. The last thing we want is for you to spend money, time, and effort on a course that you may not need. So ensure that you check your degree works frequently and verify that we have your correct program of study reflected on DegreeWorks. But if you are in a certification program, you will be eligible for this 150 incentive. What if I have a hold and I can't register by June 1? Again, the deadline was May 1. We've extended it to June 1. So if you do have a hold, then you have a little bit more time to take care of that hold so that you can register. Now, there are some holds that may be in your student account, but not all holds prevent registration, especially if you have a balance. That balance may not allow you to take out another emergency loan or another installment plan, but it will not stop you from registering. So when you look at the types of holds that you have on your student account, Don't assume that all holds stop registration. Some holds are informational. Um, and not necessarily stop registration. We actually have very few holds that stop registration. So if you do have a hold, please try to register, because you never know. It might be one of those holds that's just informational, or a hold that's not preventing registration. So pay attention to your holds closely. But don't hesitate to reach out to us if you are uncertain about whether the hold prevents registration or not. But attempt to register, because more than likely that hold will not stop registration. So are there any exceptions to the June 1 deadline? There is no exception at this point. We've gone ahead and extended the deadline. Like I mentioned, we do have limited funding to provide this incentive to our students. So June 1 is the final deadline for you to register. So if you have not registered for summer or fall, because you're unsure if you're going to register or not, or you're waiting to see what grade you receive for spring, or if you're looking for a spot to open for a class that's already full, I highly recommend that you select from the courses that are currently available with available seats from there, and secure your classes. We may not always be able to open additional courses later in the semester. So we do encourage you to look at what we currently have available, and select from there. But it's best that you register as soon as possible. One, so that you can take advantage of these incentives, but two, it also allows us to see which classes are filling, and to see if there is any possibility of being able to increase seats or add additional courses. But we do need to know what our student course demand is. So the sooner you register, the better for us. So just keep that in mind. I have another question. If my daughter will start as a new student in the fall, but it has an orientation until the end of May, would she qualify for the $500? So if your daughter is coming to orientation before June 1, she can definitely take advantage of both the $150 incentive and then the $500 incentive if she does decide to take courses starting this summer. And I'll talk about that second incentive here in just a minute. But Bridget, your daughter can take advantage of both of these incentive programs that I'm talking about today. And I did see that someone posted the instructions. Tori, thank you, Tori, for posting the instructions on how to sign up for direct deposit. So yeah, log into myutrgv.edu with your student credentials, go to the assist icon, and you will see an option for my finances. Under finances, you will see an option for direct deposit, and that is where you enter your banking information. Again, this is the best, the safest, and the fastest way for us to get the funds to you. For the most part, there are some banking institutions that as soon as we do the disbursement, the funds are reflected in the student account as early as that evening or the next day. Whereas with paper checks, we have to print the check, put them in the mail, and then wait for the mail service to deliver that check to you. And then again, I have a lot of students that have missed out on funding because they've allowed those checks to expire. And after a certain date, those checks are no longer valid. And unfortunately, we cannot, many times, we cannot reissue those funds. So again, best, fastest, safest way to get funds to you is via direct deposit. And for those of you that are students, I know some of you rent and your addresses may change. With the direct deposit, it's going to your banking institution versus the check going to a specific mailing address. So direct deposit, highly, highly recommended. I have another question. If DACA students can apply for an emergency tuition loan. So our DACA students are eligible for both of the incentives that I'm talking about this afternoon. But as far as the emergency, I'm thinking that you're talking about the emergency student loan. So you can apply. You do have to either get your online credentials to the request that loan online, or come in person to our bursar's office to get assistance in getting the emergency loan. The thing with the emergency loan, Luz, is that it's not a long-term loan. That loan has to be repaid back within that current term. So, for example, in the spring semester, the spring emergency loan was due in April 1, and for fall, the emergency loan is due November 1. Keep in mind too that you can always apply for financial aid, and especially our DACA students, we do have the TASFA, which is the Texas application for state aid. And so there are some state programs that our DACA students can qualify for. So if you have not already done the FAFSA and the TASFA, if you're a DACA student, or if you're trying to assist a DACA student, I highly encourage them to fill out the TASFA. And you can go to our U Central website, and you can find all of our forms on the U Central website, including the TASFA application. And we have the TASFA application for the current year, which is 21-22, if you are seeking funds still for this spring semester or funds for the summer. And then the TASFA for the 22-23 as well, for our DACA students that are seeking funds for fall 22, spring 23, and summer 23. Now, for all of our students, the financial aid application, which becomes available October 1 of every year, that is what we use to award our federal financial aid programs, as well as some of our state financial aid programs. So it's never too late to do your financial aid application. For example, if you are currently enrolled and you have not done your financial aid application and you submit it, and it turns out that you were eligible for aid for the fall and this spring and this summer, then we will award you for the full academic year. And I know sometimes students assume that based on our family income, I won't qualify for financial aid. And I always recommend our students to do the financial aid application because there's a very extensive formula that the federal government uses to determine financial aid eligibility. So a student with a household income, the same family income, may qualify depending on the number of individuals in the household. So you can have family income of $125,000, but there's 3 in the household versus 5 in the household in another family. That makes a huge difference when that calculation is made. So don't make the assumption that you don't qualify for financial aid. Please submit your financial aid application. I know sometimes it can be a little intimidating, but it really isn't. If you've already done your financial aid application, you just need to go in and update your demographics, your information, your personal information, if anything has changed. Otherwise, you leave as is. And then your tax information, you just import from the IRS website. So you don't have to worry about what line on my tax return do I look at to enter this figure. You import your IRS information, it automatically populates all of the financial aid information. So it'll only take you a couple of minutes from beginning to end to submit your application. Now, through the application, that's what we use to award our grants, which are free money, our work study, which is to support our on-campus student employment, and then our student loans. I know a lot of us are very adverse to borrowing. We averse to borrowing. We do not want to borrow, but student loans are a form of financial aid. When you decide to take out a student loan, you're borrowing from the federal government, and so the interest rate on those loans are much lower than if you were to go and take out a personal loan, or even worse, if you were to charge that on your credit card. And with the student loans, you don't have to repay those monies until you graduate, you stop attending school, or you fall below 6 hours. So unlike the emergency loan that I just talked about a little while ago, that is due within the current term, for the federal loans that you can get through the financial aid application, you may not have to repay those till much later, once you graduate, stop attending, or fall below 6 hours. So loans are still a form of financial aid, and it's a lot better than taking out a personal loan or putting it on your credit card. So again, do your financial aid application if you haven't already. We do have our U Central Edinburgh and our U Central Brownsville, both locations do have computers and staff that can assist you in filling out your financial aid application. If you need assistance, we have very knowledgeable students and staff that can help you through that process if you have not done so already. So keep that in mind. So let's talk about the next program, which is the $500 summer tuition and fee incentive. So again, for the early registration incentive, you just have to be enrolled in at least 1 hour for either summer or fall by June 1, and we will get those monies out to you. So that's all you have to do, 1 hour. Now, our $500 program works a little bit different. So the $500 summer incentive is specifically for that, for summer only. So this is for summer registration. We will help you with up to $500 after all of your other financial aid, and that is gift aid, has been applied to your student account. We do have some requirements in order to receive the summer incentive. So this program is available to all of our students. This includes undergraduate and graduate students. So you do have to be enrolled for summer. And again, you'll receive up to $500 applied toward your tuition and mandatory fees after your current financial aid gets applied. So for example, if you have Pell Grant, but it's not enough to cover your summer enrollment, then we will go ahead and cover the difference for you up to $500. So if the difference after your aid is applied is $300, then we'll pay those $300. If the difference is $500, then we'll pay those $500. If your difference is $700, we will only apply up to $500. So just keep that in mind, that you can get up to $500 after your other aid has already been applied. And that's only gift aid. We don't take into account work study, because those are funds that you have to work for. And we don't take into account student loans, because those are funds that you have to repay back. So again, it's just gift aid that goes into the calculation to determine how much to cover for you. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that these $500 for summer are in addition to the $150. So if you registered for summer, you've already secured your $150. And then if you meet the enrollment requirement that I'm about to talk about right now, then you can get up to an additional $500. So as a total, you can get up to $650. So the $150 is good. 500, it's up to 500 depending if you have other aid. Otherwise, if you don't have any other aid, or your aid is not enough to cover your balance, and that's where the summer $500 incentive comes in. It is not a loan. The $500 incentive, again, is an institutional program that we here at UTRGV have put together for our students. So these are not monies that you have to pay back. This is not like the emergency loan that you have to pay back during the current semester, or the federal loan that I just mentioned that you have to pay back once you graduate or you stop attending school. These are free monies that are available to you right now this summer session. The calculation is to cover tuition and mandatory fees only. So if you're living on campus or you have other non-tuition and mandatory fees, then that's not part of the calculation. But we do look at your tuition and mandatory fees to determine up to how much to help you. And of course, the maximum is $500. So it does cover the tuition and mandatory fees. So who is eligible? All of our students are eligible. Whether you're a new student, again, our high school students and our transfer students that decide to start this summer, you will be eligible to receive this money. If you're a graduate student, whether you're in our traditional program or accelerated online programs, you will be eligible for this as well. So keep that in mind. All of our students, whether you're new, continuing, our graduate students, either in a traditional or online program, all of our students have the opportunity to qualify for this $500 tuition and fee incentive. So the only thing there's two things that we're asking for to ensure that you qualify for these funds. One is that you have to be enrolled in at least 6 hours, and in any manner that you choose. So you can do 3 hours summer one, 3 hours summer two, or you can do 6 hours summer one, 6 hours summer two. The max that you can get overall is $500. For our students in our online programs, we're looking at your overall enrollment per module. So if you're enrolled in 3 hours summer module one and 3 hours summer module two, we combine that to check for the 6 hour enrollment requirement, and then we will process the calculation to determine how much of the $500 you can receive. So again, all of our students, our undergraduate and graduate students, are eligible for the 500 incentive. And you're asking me what is the school code for the financial aid application. For UTRGV, it's 0003599. So you can go into our financial aid website and get our school code from there. Of course, once you're in the financial aid application, you can also do a search for the school, for the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, and the school code will come up. But again, it's 0003599. That is our school code if you're in the process of doing your financial aid application. Judith, you're asking, what if I already paid my classes and the incentive, and I didn't know about the incentive? When we do the calculation, any payment that you made does not get considered into the calculation. So even those of you that may have already requested an emergency loan for the summer, the only thing that we account for is the gift aid. So if you're receiving any free money, such as scholarships or grants from our financial aid and scholarship office, then that goes into the calculation. So if you paid all of your tuition and fees out of pocket, and you meet the 6 hour enrollment requirement, and you registered by June 1, then we'll turn around and send you a disbursement of those $500 to you. So you haven't lost out if you've already made payment arrangements for your summer session. We will go ahead and look at the type of payment that you made, because the only thing that we're accounting for are for grant monies and scholarship monies in the calculation. Again, loans, work study, or any self-payments made, those are not part of the calculation. So if you covered your tuition and fees for summer 100% out of pocket, then we'll go ahead and turn around and refund you those $500. So you have not missed this opportunity. Again, how many classes do I have to enroll for summer? We're looking for 6 hours. So there's some classes that are 4 credit hours, so you can do a combination of a 4-hour course and a 2-hour course. But as long as you're enrolled in a total of at least 6 credit hours during the summer, that's what we're looking for. So 2 things to remember for the $500 incentive is the registration deadline, and keep in mind that we've done the extension from May 1 to June 1. So you have to register by June 1, and you have to be enrolled in 6 hours. Now, I do have a question. What if I only need 3 hours to graduate? So make sure that you've applied for graduation. For students that we see that met the enrollment deadline but are not in the 6 hours, we do check to see if you have applied for graduation, and we verify that you in fact do need less than 6 hours to graduate, and then we'll go ahead and honor the $500 incentive and cover up to the $500. So keep that in mind. For students that are getting ready to graduate this summer, we don't want you to take courses that you don't need just to qualify for the program. So if all you need is a 3-hour or 4-hour course to graduate, just make sure that your graduation application is on file, because that's what we will use to ensure that you qualify for the $500 incentive. So let me make sure I've covered all of the questions so far. I think I have. So when will students start seeing the summer incentive in their student account? We will start awarding our students prior to our summer tuition deadline that's coming up mid-May. I believe is when our tuition due date is for summer. But we will definitely process those awards before that date. And let me just check here what our summer one tuition due date is May 12th. So we will start processing our the $500 award for those students that are already showing registration by May 12th, so that you can only go, so you don't have to worry about so that you can only make payment for anything else that's not being covered by your financial aid, your gift aid, or the summer incentive. But we will start processing those awards as soon as possible. Granted that you're enrolled by June 1 and that you're meeting the 6-hour requirement. For the $150, we will start issuing those funds out right after June 1. And of course, for the 150, as long as you're enrolled in either summer or fall, then that will qualify you for the 150 incentive. For the 6 hours, you do have to do that by June 1. Isabel, it's not 6 hours per semester. We're looking for a total of 6 hours. So if you're enrolled 3 hours in summer 1 and 3 hours in summer 2, then as a whole for our summer session, you're enrolled in 6 hours, and that's what we are looking for. So it's not 6 hours for summer 1 and 6 hours for summer 2. It's 6 hours throughout the entire summer. Same thing for our module students. Don't think that you have to be enrolled in 6 hours per each module. As long as you're enrolled in 3 hours summer module 1 and 3 hours summer module 2, we combine the total to verify that you're in the 6 hours. But it's not 6 hours per semester or per module. So thank you for asking that question. Let me see what else has come in. What's the required enrollment criteria? Again, 6 credit hours or more by June 1 for the $500. For the 150, by June 1 for either summer or fall. Again, for the summer incentive, we will not have any exceptions to the deadline. Again, like I mentioned earlier, we have extended the original deadline of May 1 to June 1. So it's giving you a little bit more time to do your course selection if you haven't already. But please do try your best to select your courses before then. The sooner the better. One, so that we can ensure that we start paying out these funds that you're eligible for as soon as we start those processes. And also to help us ensure that we're aware of the course demands. Our colleges work very hard to look at prior term enrollment rates and looking at how many courses we previously had to determine how many new courses we need to have. But our student population continues to change. We have students that stop and start at different times. So sometimes it is difficult to gauge what that course demand is. So the best way that you can help us with this is by securing your courses as soon as possible. There's no need for you to wait for spring grades to post to secure your classes. Like I mentioned, you can continue to make enrollment changes up until the census date of each corresponding term. Of course, please don't make enrollment changes that late in the semester. We definitely don't want you to add a class extremely late and then have difficulties catching up with the coursework. But there's no need right now for you to delay your registration. Even if you're waiting on submitting your financial aid application or you're working on acquiring some needed paperwork, secure your classes. There's no need for you to wait. For those of you that may think that you cannot register because you have a hold, most of our holds do not prevent registration. So we do need to inform you of the holds that exist in your student account, but most do not prevent registration. So go ahead and try to register if you do have a hold, and I'm very confident the majority of you will be able to register. But if you cannot, reach out to us and see what it is that we can support you with to clear that hold so that you can be able to register. But for the most part, most of our holds do not prevent registration. I have a question from Matthew. I completed my graduate degree in March. I've applied for graduation. I'm in a certification program. I only have 3 hours remaining. I'm enrolled, registered, and paid. This makes me eligible for both the 500. Oh, okay, so you're asking me if this makes you eligible for the 500 and the 150. So definitely the 150, Matthew. If you're already registered, just make sure that you remain enrolled, and that will qualify you for the $150. For the $500, if you are in a certification program and that is reflected on our system, and you only need 3 hours to gain that certification, then we will be eligible. We will be able to assist you with up to $500. So again, we don't want our students to take any unnecessary coursework. So if you're only needing those 3 hours for certification, then we can definitely help you out. If you don't see the award, Matthew, I know yours might be a little bit different because you've already completed your degree in March, but you're just penning this certification course. If we don't pick you up automatically, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Reach out to scholarships at utrgv.edu and provide us your student ID and your scenario, and we will definitely go in there and assist you. Because for the most part, we look for students to have a graduation application, but in your case, you've finished your degree this past March, and you're just working on your certification. So we can definitely work with you. So keep that in mind. Let me see what else. Is there a cutoff date for the summer incentive? There is. Again, we've extended the deadline from May 1 to June 1. So keep that in mind. Of course, the sooner you do it, the better. If I'm enrolled in all online courses for summer, do I qualify? You definitely do. So our graduate students that are in our accelerated online programs, you qualify as long as you meet the 6 hours. And for our students that are in our traditional programs but are taking online classes, because we do have many online course availabilities for our traditional programs, you will qualify as well. We're just looking for that 6 hour enrollment during the summer to qualify for the 500 incentive. Do I need to apply for the summer incentive? Similar to the $150, you do not need to apply. We will identify you on our student system. We will be able to see which are our students that met the 6 hour enrollment requirement by June 1. We will post that award to your student account. You'll get a notification from us indicating that you can go in and see your award offer, and then the application of the award into your actual student bill. But there's no application required for either program. We will automatically identify you if you are eligible. So Ken, just keep in mind for the if you meet the enrollment requirement for the summer, then you automatically qualify for the 150. So because for the 150, we're looking for enrollment in either summer or fall. So if you're enrolling in 6 hours for this summer session, as long as you register by June 1, you're meeting the requirement for the 150 and you're meeting the requirement for the 500. So you will definitely be able to get both. So again, there's no application required. We will identify you. It is if is this incentive awarded on a first come, first serve basis? It is limited funding. That is why we have to have the registration deadline. However, all students that do register and meet the 6 hour requirement by June 1, we guarantee you that we will assist you with up to $500. So it's not on a first come, first serve basis, but we do have limited funding, and that's the reason why we have the June 1 deadline. But if you do meet the June 1 deadline and you enroll for 6 hours, we will honor this program and make you the award offer up to the $500. So how is the award determined? If you are receiving financial aid, we only look at gift aid. So that's a Pell Grant. If you're receiving any, the summer booster or any other type of what we call free monies, gift aid. This is monies that you don't have to pay back, a scholarship. So the calculation only takes that into account. So for example, let's say your tuition and fees for summer is $1,500 and you have financial aid to cover $1,000, then we'll go in and cover $500. If your financial aid is $1,200, then we'll go in and cover the $300 difference. If your financial aid is only $500, we'll go in and cover up to the $500, and then you'll have an out-of-pocket expense of $500. So we don't take into account the emergency loan. We don't take into account any type of federal loan that you may have, and definitely we don't take into account work study, because those are monies that you have to work to earn. So it's just free money that you would qualify for. Roberto is asking, does this apply to a master's degree student enrolled in the online accelerated program? Yes, Roberto. So our students in our accelerated online programs do qualify. Again, as long as you're enrolled for 6 hours. So don't think that you have to enroll 6 hours summer module 1. So as long as you're in 3 hours module 1, 3 hours module 2, and of course you can register for more, but that's a minimum that we're looking for. 3 hours and 3 hours, a total of 6. So if you decide to take the 6 hours in one module, then we'll go ahead and do the calculation for that term. But our students, our graduate students in our accelerated online programs do qualify for this incentive. Let me see what else I have here. If I enroll in less than 6 hours during the summer, do I qualify for a partial award? For this program, there are no partial awards. We are looking for 6 hours unless you need less than 6 hours to graduate. And again, we look for that graduation application. So there's no partial awards for enrolling in less than 6 hours. You do have to be enrolled in a minimum of 6 hours or have a graduation application and your degree works indicates that you have less than 6 hours needed to graduate. So if you do need less than 6 hours, again, make sure that you submit that graduation application if you haven't already. What if I enroll for more than 6 hours? Can I get extra money? So right now, for this particular program, the maximum award is $500. So if you enroll for 9 or 12 hours this summer, the maximum that we can get to you is $500. So there isn't additional money if you register for more than the 6 hours. Thank you for asking that question. For those of you that are current UTRGV employees and that qualify for the tuition assistance program, if the tuition assistance program is covering all of your tuition and fees, then there will be nothing for this program to cover. However, if the program, if you're enrolled for 6 hours and the tuition assistance program is only enough to cover 3 hours and you still have a balance, then we'll go ahead and cover that difference. But if the ETAP is fully covering your tuition and fees, then there is nothing for this program to cover. So just keep that in mind for those of you that are UTRGV employees, that you may be able to receive it if the ETAP is not covering, the Employee Tuition Assistance Program is not covering all of your tuition and fees already. Yes. Thank you. I see that some of you are helping me answer questions for each other, and I appreciate that. If I have graduated, but I want to come back and take some summer classes, will I qualify for the incentive? Again, definitely. If you are coming back and you want to take some additional courses this summer, then you can take if you can take 6 hours during the summer and you register by June 1, then you will be able to benefit from this program. So those of you that are graduating this May and are considering starting a graduate program, I highly encourage you to look at our graduate program availability for this summer and start. The sooner you start, the better, and take advantage of these $500, and you will also be able to get the $150 early registration incentive. So those of you graduating this May, in the next 2 weeks, uh, and you're considering graduate school, don't delay. Submit that application or submit any additional paperwork that may be needed if you have applied already, so that you can go ahead and register by June 1 to benefit from both of the programs, the 150 plus the 500. So again, we have a wonderful variety of graduate programs available to all of our students, and we have them in both formats. If you're going to start working and you cannot be coming to campus to take courses, we have our accelerated online programs, and those are they're fast and furious. They're very fast paced, but it's a great opportunity for those of you that are already in the workforce or are planning to go into the workforce already but want to continue your graduate education. We have a variety of accelerated online programs available that you can take advantage of, and then take advantage of these types of funding programs. Do hours in graduate certificate programs count? They do. There was a gentleman that I answered earlier, as far as him just needing one certification course to go this summer. And yes, we do look at certificate programs. So if you're enrolled in at least 6 hours in a certificate program this summer by June 1, then you will be able to qualify for our $500 summer tuition and fee incentive. Again, for both programs, the early registration and the $500 tuition and fee incentive, as an institution, we continue to look at ways in which we can support our students to graduate on a timely basis. And for those of you that have been with us throughout the pandemic, you saw the multiple programs that we developed. But just because we seem to be getting out of the pandemic doesn't mean that we will not continue to look for opportunities to develop financial aid and scholarship programs to support our students. And these two programs are a testament of our belief here at UTRGV. We are very focused and dedicated to supporting our students as much as possible, because we want all of you to graduate as soon as possible, within 4 years if possible, be able to get out into the workforce. Our Rio Grande Valley continues to grow tremendously. There's a lot of employment opportunity, but there's a lot of need. We saw with the pandemic, the health needs of our community. So those of you that are going into the medical fields, there's great demand for all of you here in the Rio Grande Valley. So we want to make sure that we have an educated workforce to support the growth of our Rio Grande Valley and give back to our community. We definitely want you all to look for employment opportunities here at UTRG in the Rio Grande Valley. And then don't forget about UTRGV. Once you graduate and you are making your salary, any dollar helps to continue to support our students. Any other questions? If a master's program is a master's program, is a master's program qualify if graduated a long time ago? If you graduated, Elda, and you are considering coming back to UTRGV and continuing your education, if you didn't finish, or if you finished and you want to come back for another master's program for one of our doctoral programs, if you can get started this summer, then you can take advantage of both our $100, $150 early registration incentive, plus our $500 tuition and fee incentive. So Elda, if you're considering coming back to school or beginning your education, please do so as soon as possible so that you can take advantage of these programs. And then also don't forget, for those of you that logged in after I said this, don't forget to do your financial aid application. Don't assume that you don't qualify. You will be amazed at how many students actually qualify once I encourage them and they listen and do their financial aid application. There is a lot of aid available. There is a very inclusive formula when the government determines who's eligible or not. They look at, yes, a household income, but the number in the household, how many in the household are going to college, the age of the parents, because we know parents have to be planning for retirement. So if you don't assume that just because you make a certain amount that you won't qualify. It's a full-fledged, very complicated formula that the government uses to determine financial aid eligibility. So apply it. And I know the application can be a little intimidating, but it really isn't. Once you go in and put in your personal information, it's always going to be there. So the following year, you just have to go in and update it. And then now it's even better if you do the IRS import. You don't have to worry about getting us a copy of your tax return. You don't have to worry about figuring out which is the line for my tax return I need to look at. It'll automatically populate your financial information if you do that IRS import. And then remember, loans are a form of financial aid. Loans are a good resource. If you need those funds, then that's what those funds are for. You are borrowing from the government. Interest rates are considerably lower when you get a federal loan through the financial aid application versus taking out a personal loan or charging your tuition and fees to your credit card. So do your financial aid application. If you don't qualify for gift aid, keep loans in mind. And when we make you a loan offer, you don't have to accept the full amount of your loan. If we offer you $5,500, but you only need $1,000, you can request to only borrow $1,000. We encourage all of our students to borrow what you need only, because eventually you will have to pay it back, but at a very low interest rate. And again, that repayment doesn't start until you graduate or you stop attending school. So definitely, student loans are a good resource to fund your education if needed. And don't borrow unnecessarily. Like I mentioned, don't borrow the full amount. Borrow what you need. But if you need the full amount, by all means, that's what it's for. We don't want you to stop your education because you don't have free monies. Didn't qualify for free monies, and then you and or your parents don't have those savings to pay for your tuition and fees. Remember that loans are an option. Don't look for our student employment opportunities. We highly encourage our students to work on campus. We are more likely to work with you when you have to take time off to study for an exam, for finals, to work on a project, versus working with let's say a local restaurant or retail store where, they have evening and weekend hours that may interfere with your studies. So if you are wanting to make a little bit of extra cash, don't forget to visit our student employment page and look for employment opportunities that we have here on campus. And we have employment opportunities in all of our campuses, not just here in Edinburgh, not just in Brownsville, but everywhere. And we do have some opportunities in working with our school districts. So there's a lot of employment opportunities for our students. So make sure that you visit our student employment page if you are wanting to make some additional monies to help you fund your education. Any other questions? I think I've covered both programs as thoroughly as possible, and I think I've answered all the questions that came in. But if I didn't and you have any other questions, I think most of you already know how to find me. You can just search my name on the UTRGV website. It's Griselda Castilla, or very easy, griselda.castilla, utrgv.edu, and I will answer your question as best as possible or ensure that I connect you with the right person. And I thank you again for joining me this afternoon. Wish you the best as you wrap up your spring semester. And don't forget to continue your education here with us this summer. Take advantage of our early registration incentive, as well as our $500 tuition and fee incentive. So And then keep on looking out for any other announcements that may come from UTRGV. We continue to look for opportunities to develop programs to continue to support you in your educational endeavors. Thank you all so much, and V's up.